Okay, so let's see if we can give a quick overview of how the chu-chr works. So this tank here holds 1100 liters of oil. I take oil out at that level there, which is about 1.5 feet off the bottom. I fill it full of oil, I let it settle for a month or two, add a little bit of gas to help the used oil settle out. Okay, I then take it out of that valve there and I transfer it over into this bigger tank here. This holds 250 gallons. From there, that oil comes out of that valve in the bottom, kind of goes through a series of filters and gets pumped up top. There's two 50-gallon tanks in behind that wall. Okay, from there, them two 50-gallon tanks pumps through that little pump there, pumps up through another filter again, and then into the engine, into my chu-chr. There's the two 50-gallon tanks. When it goes into the engine, it takes and it goes through here. Any bypass goes around and back up to the tank. Okay. Inside there, I wrap coils around to help preheat the fuel. The fuel then comes down. I strapped it to the injection line, so it kind of helps heat that. Goes around, comes into the bottom of here, and pressure feeds into the system. So I got another bypass here to let a little bit of air bubbles out. Now here, it gets filtered, right? Comes into my injection pump. Here I can open this valve and bleed out any more air bubbles. Now, you ask, why do I get rid of air bubbles there, and here? If I burn hydraulic oil, I don't know why, but when you mix it with gas, I get air bubbles. And then here you see I put cotton on it in a zip tie. I'll take and give a shot of oil up here, runs down the stem, gets caught up in that cotton, and helps kind of lubricate it all day. It looks like I got an antifreeze leak, but I don't want to talk about it. Other than that, governor. Governor had to add 2 springs that made it work way more accurate. My lift oil pump is no longer even connected. I cut it off inside. So this oil pump is deactivated. What I use for an oil pump is down here. I have a power steering pump out of a Ford pickup. And it takes and pumps the oil. Here's my, pressure. Before the filter, goes through the filter, comes out, goes into my, Murphy switch gauge. So if my pressure gets too low in the night, it'll shut off. This line here is what now feeds the oil in the crankcase. That power steering pump pumps way too much oil than I need, so I bypass some of the oil, okay? Crack it open to bypass it. And when it bypasses, it goes in this tank down at the far end. This tank here holds 90 liters of oil. Comes around. So all I did is just connect into the bottom of the crankcase. That 1-inch line comes around and drops into this tank. This tank has a dog leg in the bottom of it that's a foot lower than the rest of it. So that catches my sludge. This white line goes and connects onto a crank barrel pump. So once a week, I crank, 5-gallon pail out of it. I don't even know. And then that oil there, when it pumps the sludge out of the tank, that used oil from the crankcase goes up into my tank up here, which is now my soup. That's the line up there that goes into my fuel. So crankcase oil is fuel. Okay, we'll start this baby up.